Hey everyone, Chris Hobart here, the Wealthologist. Now today, I want to dive into a topic that is making a lot of noise. Is the US dollar dying? Let's cut through the panic and find the facts. All right, let's talk about the dollar. So back in January, it took, about $1.02 to buy €1. Well, now it's about $1.12. It's about a 10% drop in the value of the US dollar. Now, similar drops have happened against the British pound, the Japanese yen, and the Canadian dollar. Cue the headlines, right? The dollar is dead. Trump's tariffs are crashing the currency. Foreigners are fleeing. And I got to tell you, that sounds really dramatic. But the question is it true? Now, here's the deal. These kinds of panic predictions, they're not really anything new, right? What bleeds, what leads. We like to hear that in the headlines. We have seen them before. Billionaires are selling everything. The market's going to crash. Buy gold, bury cash, live off the grid. Since 2008, there's been a lot of noise. And guess what? None of what has been predicted has really happened. Yeah, you see, the dollar's value, it moves just like any other currency. And this latest move, it's big. There's no question about it. But I don't think it's apocalyptic, right? In fact, over the last 5 or 10 years, the dollar is still right in the middle of its trading range. So, what caused the recent dip? Well, here's where I think it kind of gets interesting. It's got nothing to do with global investors giving up on America. Over the past couple of months, the U.S. trade deficit, it has exploded. Now, why? Well, because businesses were front running tariffs. They're trying to import as much as possible before prices go up. So let's take a look at the numbers. The average trade deficit from 2010 to 2020, it was $40 billion per month. Now, the average from 2020 to 2024 was $70 billion per month. Now, in January of 2025, $131 billion. March of 2025, $140 billion. That's $212 billion more dollars than normal flooding into global markets in just 4 months. So I really want you to think about it. Foreign companies sell us goods. They get US dollars in return. If supply suddenly surges and demand stays the same, what happens to price? You got it. It drops. Same thing applies to the dollar. So, no, the dollar isn't dying. It's just dealing with temporary supply shock. And here's the twist. This is likely temporary. Once the front running of tariffs ends, trade deficits should ease and dollar supply will fall back in line. And when that happens, we expect the dollar to stabilize and probably even strengthen a bit. Also, I want you to zoom out a little bit. Yes, European stocks have done well lately, but over the last decade, US stocks, they still win by a mile. You see, long-term performance still favors the US economy as well as the US dollar. So what's the bottom line? Well, dollar's not collapsing. The panic, I think, is overblown. This is really what we'd consider a classic case of supply and demand, not a sign of America's big decline. So, if you have been worried, I don't want you to be worried. Stay calm and stay informed. And if you want real world guidance without the panic, I want you to visit us at hobartwealth.com, where we cut through the hype and help real people make smart money moves. Now, before you go, tell me in the comment section, do you think the dollar is going to bounce back, or is this the start of a longer slide? Have I convinced you enough? Let's get the conversation going. All right, as always, I appreciate you watching. I'm Chris Hobart, the Wealthologist, and I'll see you next time on the Wealthologist Weekly.